now. This is your complete viewer's guide to Championship Sunday. 4 teams, 2 games, 1 show.
Make sure you keep that camera on me today.
NFL Total Access starts now. Welcome to NFL Total Access. I'm MJ Acosta-Ruiz. About 55 hours from right now, we will know which 2 of the 4 teams behind me here will be heading to Super Bowl 55. We're so close, you can almost taste it. Terrell Davis, David Carr, and Cynthia Freeland are joining me tonight. We've got our predictions for each game's winners, plus the very first Daniel Jeremiah mock draft of the year. But we'll start with who will be on the field for Championship Sunday. Who's in and who's out? For that, we welcome in our NFL insider, Tom Pelissero. Tom, we know now that Patrick Mahomes is out of that concussion protocol. It has been a long week for the Chiefs QB.
It has, MJ, but now we know Patrick Mahomes officially in for Sunday's AFC title game against the Bills after passing through that 5-step concussion protocol. He's been cleared by an independent neurologist. Mahomes said today he has not had any symptoms. Also said that toe that he banged up last week is feeling a lot better. He will start against the Bills. Mahomes said, I'll be able to go out there and be myself. Not as good a news for Bucs wide receiver Antonio Brown. He is out for the NFC title game against the Packers because of his injured knee. Coach Bruce Arians said they didn't want to put AB on a plane, risk that thing swelling up. He just wasn't as close as they had hoped, so they'll leave Brown at home this week and get him ready for a potential appearance in the Super Bowl, MJ.
All right, that's the players, but we're also getting some coaching news. What's the latest on hirings and interviews for the day, Tom?
MJ, the Bears have a new defensive coordinator. It is Sean Desai, who is their safeties coach over the past couple of years. Desai replaces Chuck Pagano, who retired after last season. Desai also believed to be the first coach of Indian descent to hold an NFL coordinator role. Meanwhile, there's only one open NFL head coaching search, and the Houston Texans conducted 2 interviews today. One with the former Lions and Colts coach Jim Caldwell, and one with longtime NFL quarterback Josh McCown. Now, McCown is still under contract to the Texans as a player for 2021. He's always had coaching aspirations. He intends to do that someday, but his plan for the next few years has been to watch his sons play high school football. Obviously, if he takes this job, that plan would change. MJ?
Tom, these coaching vacancies and the whole carousel takes a different twist every time that we speak to you. Thanks so much. All right, we've been waiting all week for that good news that Tom just mentioned about Patrick Mahomes. Here's what the reigning Super Bowl MVP had to say about his health.
I actually just got out of the protocol. The week has just been a bunch of testing, a bunch of different things just to make sure that I'm good to go and there's no lingering effects and anything like that. But everything's been good, and I went through what all the 3-4 different doctors have said, and everything's looked well, and I'm out of it now.
All right, that grin at the end there as we welcome in a big hello to Terrell Davis and David Carr joining me for the first time today. Now, David, I want to start with you. We heard Mahomes there. Sounds very confident, a little smirk, and we know how electric he can be when he's at full strength. But is there any doubt in your mind, just so we can cross this off and check it off, that he might be limited in any way given that he was dealing with the concussion and the toe?
Well, it is good to hear that he's going to be clear as far as the concussion protocol goes. You don't have to worry about that. I think the biggest thing with his mobility and his foot is going to be he makes a living making plays outside the X's and O's, extending Andy Reid's offense and Eric Bieniemy's offense into the stratosphere, moving around and making plays. So is he going to be able to do that as effectively as he normally does? Sometimes what happens when you're injured, and I've had ankles, I've had high ankle sprains, had injuries in the lower extremities, and what it does is it makes you focus more on being very precise in your reads because you don't have that extra gear to go out and maybe run for first down or pick up the yardage you need. Now, maybe he's completely fine. Hopefully he is, and we get to see the dynamic Pat Mahomes that we all love. But if he is limited, maybe it'll dial him in a little bit more, and he'll be even more precise throwing the football, which is going to be a little bit dangerous for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, everybody's keeping an eye on that, especially the Bills, no doubt. And listen, from the next generation of GOATs to the 2 vets facing off in Green Bay. Guys, take a look at this, because how about the NFC quarterbacks? Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have a combined 7 Super Bowls, 5 MVPs, and 23 Pro Bowls. Tom Brady contributes more to those numbers than Rodgers does, but you don't need to tell Brady that his counterpart in Green Bay will be a tough test for the Bucs.
He basically does everything well. So he's got great command and experience. Leadership. Players are playing hard. He's got a great style of play. So he obviously throws the ball as well as any quarterback. Gets rid of the ball quickly. Has great vision of the field. Is able to extend plays with his legs. And, it's a lot of explosive players he's got. So they got a great football team. And they got obviously a top scoring offense or a top offense, however you see it. And it's a big test. We're going to have to go up and play great football to beat them.
Yeah, Tom Brady running through the list of accolades there and of special skills for Aaron Rodgers. TD, two elite veteran QBs, but between them, who do you think has the edge here?
First of all, Tom Brady is a master at softening up the competition. He's very good at that, trying to, turn down the temperature. But for me, I've got to go with Aaron Rodgers here. I know people are looking at Tom Brady. The guy's a six-time Super Bowl champion, went to 9 Super Bowls, and he's the greatest of all time. But in this matchup, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers, and here's why. I think number one is Aaron is well aware of his legacy right now. He understands that he only has 1 Super Bowl, and he's facing the greatest quarterback of all time. And Aaron Rodgers understands that this is the moment. He's got a team that is capable of beating the Bucs and winning a Super Bowl. He's not going to have too many more shots at this. And so for me, looking at it in Rodgers' standpoint, is that he's got to have this with a sense of urgency because there's no guarantee that he's going to be there again. I think, secondly, his team feels that. When I played with John Elway, the whole thing was win-win for John. Help John Elway get his first Super Bowl. And I understand this is not Rodgers' first Super Bowl, but he hasn't gotten one in since 2010. It's been a long time. So the team feels it, the building feels it, he feels it. I think they'll rally behind that and all come out there and play a great game and understand that they're very close to winning a Super Bowl for Aaron Rodgers in the city of Green Bay.
Yeah, TD, as much as I agree with you, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play fantastic. There's a lot of pressure on him, but then there's a lot of pressure on Matt LaFleur also to make sure he dials up the right plays, gets that run play action going with that offense. I think that as far as the edge goes, it's got to be number 12 just because of how many times he's been here, how many times he's been in the playoffs, been to Super Bowls, played in these types of games. And there's going to be a lot asked of him from the line of scrimmage. And I think that that's going to be a benefit because of all the opportunities that he's had to do that. I really think that the Packers kind of struggle in those base defensive looks where Brady can spread you out and really look and find his matchup and then make throws like this down the field. So if he's able to do that and kind of control the line of scrimmage against Green Bay on those early downs, it's going to be a huge advantage for Tom Brady. 2 great quarterbacks. It's hard to argue these, but I just think Brady in that aspect, being able to control the X's and O's from the line of scrimmage, he has a little bit of an edge here.
I know the guys set the table here. If you at home are wondering, are you going to pick the game? Yes, of course we are. It's Friday, but not until a little later in the show. First, let's hear from more on the Bucs from Sarah Walsh.
Tom Brady has a wealth of weapons, but Antonio Brown will not be among them on Sunday. Bruce Arians has ruled him out against the Packers, saying that knee injury he suffered last week was not as far along as this team hoped. He told us it didn't make any sense for Brown to get on a plane and have that knee swell up even more. Tom Brady's reaction to losing AB, he told us that guys have to step up and they have to find a way to win. They have confidence in names like Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson. And there is some great news on the injury front for this Buccaneers team today. Vita Vea, their nose tackle who broke his ankle in Week 5, has been activated. Arians told us he looked good in practice yesterday. He looked good in practice today. I saw him out there putting his hand in the ground and showing off short bursts of speed. It marks an incredible comeback for Vea, who is a huge physical presence on that line and also an emotional spark for the defense. The Buccaneers are a 5 seed, the last 5 seed to get to the Super Bowl, the 2007 Giants. The team they beat to get there, the Green Bay Packers.
All right, it's a big day for those with their eyes on the draft. 98 underclassmen were given eligibility for the 2021 NFL Draft, which means mock draft season is underway. Here are the top 10 picks in Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft for the year. For QBs, 4 QBs made the cut there, including each of the 2 picks. Very interesting always. So, David, we know that you're very much in the loop when it comes to these QB prospects. Just how strong is this year's class?
Well, it's an extremely strong class. You have some guys that are kind of, maybe they could sneak into the first round with like Mac Jones, Trey Lance, as far as like the tool guys, the guys that have like kind of that edge where you see the film, you're like, maybe I'll take a chance on this guy in the first round. Then you got Justin Fields, and where does he land? Is he a guy that they look at as maybe like a Jalen Hurts, where he can move, but he can throw the ball down the field as well? I think fit is so important in these situations. But when I look at the top two guys, I think it's very clear that it's Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson from BYU. When I watch these two guys play, Trevor Lawrence, hands down, has every ability that you want. You don't really have to look at the tape very long. Urban Meyer, it should take you about 5 minutes to make this decision after going through this and understanding what type of person this guy is, what type of player he is, and what he can bring to your football team, especially considering the offensive system that you're going to run. I think it's going to fit perfectly for you. And then I look at the kid from BYU with Zach, and he's got what I like to call a little bit of a gunslinger mentality. You see all the different angles and different arm angles, and as a quarterback, I get excited watching him do that. Now, he has some decision-making things that he has to clean up, and I think, honestly, a lot of that is just what he's maybe being coached. They have a good scheme down there, but I think he'll clean up a lot of things. You see how the three-quarter sidearm delivery, you have to have that type of playmaking ability in this league, and he's got a huge arm when he can throw it from hash to sideline, easily flick of the wrist. So those two guys stand out to me. They kind of fit in any system, but there's probably 5 quarterbacks that can go in the first round here. I'm excited to see how it pans out.
I love how you said that first pick should take about a few minutes to figure out, but we're going to have to wait until that clock expires, which is also part of the fun of it. All right, David, thanks. We'll reveal 10 more names on DJ's mock draft coming up in just a little bit, but for more on the draft, you can always head over to NFL.com. Okay, let's get you caught up on some more headlines from around the league. The NFL announced today that 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers will be invited to attend Super Bowl 55 to thank and honor them for their continued service during the pandemic. NFL legends from around the league have joined the effort to honor doctors and nurses coast to coast. Yesterday, Commissioner Roger Goodell joined in by surprising a group of frontline healthcare workers from Sarasota Memorial Hospital's COVID unit.
I know everyone in your area is a little excited about an event that's coming in a few weeks, the Super Bowl, I hope. The reason that I wanted to get on this call for a minute to thank you all is I wanted to tell you that we want your team to be there. So if you're able to swing it, I want to invite each member of your team, the 5 Waldermere unit, to be our guest at the Super Bowl. I don't know if that means you accept or not.
Yes. We accept. Oh my gosh.
You will be among thousands of vaccinated healthcare workers that are going to be receiving Super Bowl tickets over the next couple of weeks. You're the first ones to get that offer. And we can't thank you enough, and we hope that this program will be a small way to celebrate you, honor you, and most importantly, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love it. All right, after Championship Sunday, we're getting you ready for Pro Bowl week. The NFL and Versus are teaming up for 4 nights of virtual highlight battles with your favorite Pro Bowl players, and the lineup has some major power. So I'll be hosting 2 of the battles. Follow along for NFL social handles and, of course, the Versus Instagram starting next Tuesday, January 26th. Steelers tight end Vance McDonald is retiring after 8 NFL seasons. The Steelers' 2020 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee released this statement via the Steelers website. He said, quote, "My family and I are so grateful for everything NFL football has provided us in our life, all the memories, both good and difficult, the relationships and friends we've made along the way, the life lessons the game provided both me and my loved ones." Coming up next on NFL Total Access, 2 questions for every game, every Friday. But the answers were never as important as they are right now. Who wins and how do they do it? History says the trick to beating the Chiefs is to put 30 points on the board. How many points will the Bills put up? And why doesn't history have a say in the NFC? Because Week 6 said Tampa Bay is 4 touchdowns better than Green Bay. All day just like that! Why isn't anyone listening? Championship Sunday, game picks, and score predictions after the break on NFL Total Access. Playoffs continue this weekend on Championship Sunday. The dream is closer and the stakes are higher as the remaining 4 teams look to punch their ticket to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa. The NFC and AFC Championship games presented by Intuit TurboTax Live. Action kicks off Sunday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern on Fox. But who will those two winning teams be? Let's bring in Cynthia Freeland for a round of higher or lower to get her predictions. Now, Cynthia, listen, girl, I always have to toot your horn because you went 3 of 4 in your higher or lower score predictions last week. No surprise there, but let's up the percentage a bit for this championship weekend. Starting with Bills Chiefs, higher or lower than 53 points, and who takes it?
So I have more points in this one. So I have 55 points, 30-25 in this matchup. Now, again, we always want to preface this with Mother Nature could change things, so you got to keep checking back right up until game time. But for me, 55 points, higher scoring game than you might imagine. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Deep passes by both quarterbacks are going to shape this one.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty because you ran your simulations for this game with Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting some opportunities. He's questionable for Sunday, but if we get word that he is fully cleared and operating as a lead back, what would that do to your projection?
So what happens is it actually drives the number of points down. Why? Because think about it. When you have more rushing opportunities, it slows the clock down. When you don't throw as often, you're going to eat up more of that clock. And we saw last time the Bills did exactly 0 blitzing of Patrick Mahomes, which meant a ton of opportunities for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to rush the ball. So in this case, it would actually drive the score down. So that would be under that 53 that we talked about before.
All right, let's move on to the NFC title game. Will the Bucs and Packers combined score be higher or lower than 51 total points, and who wins?
We're having another one with a lot of points in this one. The interesting part here is that I definitely think that the big, deep balls from both quarterbacks, those shape it again. So it's kind of the same note here. But 28-24, a 4-point win for the Packers. The deep passing, it is going to be a key. Davante Adams is going to be woken up, and so is Mike Evans. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Oh, man. All right, now with Antonio Brown out, Sarah Walsh told us that the other wideouts will really be asked to step up. But what does his absence do to your projection for Rob Gronkowski?
Ooh, look for Gronk in the slot. So it drove his projection up to 2 more receptions, to 5. That's a ridiculously high number if you think about maybe it was like 2 to 2.5 before. Remember, everything's fractional because a lot of different simulations means a lot of different things happen. So this is a huge uptick to Brady's tried and true receiver. I know he's a tight end, but he's a receiver in this case. And again, he's been super useful on those deep passes too. So remember, more receptions, more receiving yards, and the touchdown happens in 15% more of the simulations without Antonio Brown.
Cynthia always gives us the number and tells us why. I love it. We'll see you in a bit more for more game projections. For an even closer look, though, at that Bucs-Packers game, here's PFF's George Tahuri.
Could you ask for anything better than the 2 best quarterbacks in football battling it out in the snow for the right to go to the Super Bowl? The answer is definitively no. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, PFF's highest and second highest graded quarterbacks this season, with weapons galore and stars on the defensive side of the ball. The difference between these two is likely to be only a play or 2. A far cry from the first matchup when the Bucs stunned Rodgers and company 38-10 in Tampa. In that game, the Bucs blitzed Rodgers 21 times, the most of any defense this season, and the results were very un-Rodgers-like. He took 3 sacks against the Tampa Bay Blitz, but has not taken a single sack versus the Blitz since that game. So expect this Green Bay offense to look a heck of a lot different from the one that didn't really show up in Tampa. Rodgers will be ready to implement a quick passing game should the Bucs send more blitzes. In his first matchup, his average time to throw was 3 seconds, but on the season, he sits at 2.7, which is his quickest time to throw in his entire career. One more key for the Packers, who will be without PFF's highest graded pass blocking left tackle in David Bakhtiari, will be running play action early and often. Rodgers has 22 touchdown passes off play action and 0 interceptions. He had just 4 play action touchdowns all of last season. Running play action will give Rodgers the extra half second he needs to find the highest graded wide receiver on the planet, Davante Adams. For the Bucs to keep up, they are likely going to need better offensive production than they had in New Orleans last Sunday. While the Bucs picked up 4 turnovers against Breeze and the Saints, it would not be wise to rely on Aaron Rodgers to throw picks in Lambeau. This means throwing the ball downfield and doing so on early downs with Tom Brady. Brady dropped back to pass on just 21 of 51 early down plays against the Saints. the lowest rate of any quarterback in the divisional round. The 43-year-old has shown zero signs of age so far. He leads the NFL in completions and passing yards on throws that travel 20 or more yards downfield. He just needs the chance to take those shots. There might be a little snow on the ground, and the temperature, well, it's going to be below freezing. So the Packers have the elements, the best quarterback and wide receiver in the NFL, and a 61% chance to travel to Tampa to play for a Super Bowl in the Bucs' own house.
All right, let's do this. Let's get to some game picks as we bring back David and TD. All right, we heard a little extra analysis there. He says that the Packers have a little better percentage chance to win there. But TD, what's your prediction? Who wins this?
Yeah, he's right. I'm going with the Packers here, 27-23 over the Bucs. And two reasons why. Number one, I talked about it in the A block. The sense of urgency for the Packers. The players, Aaron Rodgers right now realizing this might be his last shot at winning a Super Bowl. I think that's going to play big in this game, and he's going up against Tom Brady, obviously. I think number two is, for me, I don't think that the Bucs can sort of get create those turnovers like they did last time for their offense to get them going, and that's how they essentially beat you. Create those turnovers and get things moving that way. I don't think the Packers will turn the ball over this game.
Yeah, I agree with TD. It's 31-28 is how I see it with the Packers winning this football game. They were out to a 10-0 lead when they played Tampa Bay back in Week 6. They ended up having a couple turnovers, and that just turned the tide of the game. And then Tampa Bay went on to score a bunch of points. I think it's a little bit different. That stat that we just showed in that last segment was money, because 22 touchdowns, no interceptions when Aaron Rodgers utilizes play action. That's the secret to this game. They have to stay in that mode. They were in a drop-back pass mode a little bit, later in that second quarter of that game, the first time they played, and it ended up being a bad thing because they got some pressure. Aaron threw some bad balls. You can't do that against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Too fast, too good on the back end. Run the football, stick with it, use that play action. That'll take you all the way to the Super Bowl.
All right, playing the role of James Jones opposite, though, today would be me. I can't believe I'm the only one. Look, I'm so surprised I dropped my pen. That I'm the only one not taking the Packers here. I've actually got the Bucs 32-28. It'll be a close one, as you can see by my score there. Listen, guys, back in Week 1, I was like, there's no way Brady goes into Tampa first season, leads them to a Super Bowl. Here we are, championship weekend, still talking about Tom Brady. So I've learned not to pick against him. All right, guys, thanks. After the break, we have some amazing news for anyone who likes high-scoring games in the NFL. It's our Championship Sunday, more game picks and score predictions, and all I can say is this if you're a scoreboard operator. Get loose, because you're about to have a very busy day. Welcome back to NFL Total Access. As the Chiefs prepare for their third consecutive AFC title game, they've got some health concerns and questions at multiple positions. So for more on the Chiefs, here's Jeff Chidia.
Here in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes has been the big story all week long, but a little-known running back named Darrell Williams may have a big impact on this AFC title game. He was a third-string player when this season began, but with Clyde Edwards-Helaire battling a high ankle sprain and Le'Veon Bell battling a knee injury, Williams may end up getting the lion's share of the carries in this game. Now, he played well last week against the Browns when he had 78 yards, and he's really always been a stable player for this team. In fact, offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy said that they call him dirty in the locker room. That's because he's a guy they can always rely on doing the dirty work. He can play fullback, he can play halfback, he can run, he can catch, and he's always been a guy who's battled back. Had a big knee injury last year and came back from that. Has waited for his opportunity this year with Edwards-Helaire doing getting most of the carries. But again, this is a player who knows the Bills are going to play this team to run the football. Last time the Chiefs played the Bills, Edwards-Helaire ran for 160 yards, largely because the Bills played a lot of pass coverage and let the Chiefs run the football. If they do that again, Williams is going to be the guy who gets the opportunity to make the difference.
Thanks, Jeff. Chiefs coach Andy Reid faces a familiar face this weekend. Sean McDermott worked under Reid for a decade in Philadelphia. Here's the Bills coach on that relationship and more of the best sound from today's press conferences.
I was looking at your bio, and it said in the 2001 season you were the assistant to the head coach. I'm just curious, what did that season entail for you?
From changing tires on the Schuylkill Expressway in Philadelphia to being an Uber driver before Uber was around, maybe.
I'd much rather be in the midst of it, watching it from the sideline than television, that's for sure.
That wasn't something we planned. It was just like using it as a caption for a picture. And then I guess it kind of got around and it went viral a little bit.
I still don't think O-linemen get enough credit My guy, man, we got Tim Grunhard on here. We got Willie Shields, man.
But yeah, Mahomes, man, he's like a Madden player in real life, you know.
Just showing love to the old guys and letting them know we still love them and just representing Chiefs Kingdom the way I know how, man.
Time for a playoff flashback presented by Discover. Let's take it back to the last time the Bills and Chiefs faced off in the AFC title game. The star-studded 1993 edition, which featured Hall of Famers Jim Kelly, Joe Montana, Thurman Thomas, Marcus Allen, and more. This Sunday will be the fourth playoff meeting between these teams. Each previous winner has gone on to lose the ensuing Super Bowl. Just keep that in mind. All right, Brady and Rodgers is going to steal the headlines in terms of quarterback matchup. But listen, the AFC duo is elite in their own right. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, check this out. They are both in the top 5 this season in QB win percentage, passing touchdown, and passer rating. They have been killing it. But who will lead his team to victory? It's time for some more game picks. David and TD, let's get into it. So TD, who wins the AFC Championship? Why?
Yeah, I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs, 34-31 over the Bills. And I think the reason for me is I don't think the Bills on defense, that they don't have the personnel to slow down the Chiefs offense. We saw them in that game in week 6, and they weren't able to put any pressure on Patrick Mahomes. They kind of played coverage and allowed the Chiefs to run the football. And I think that thing continues because they can't get up to the quarterback with their front four. And so for me, that's the reason. I think the other thing, too, is the lack of their running game for the Bills. Last time, they had 23 yards, or I think 32 yards rushing last week. So for me, those two reasons are why I'm going with the Chiefs over the Bills.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you just mentioned it right there. The run game, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you're going to beat a good offense. You have to be able to keep them off the field and control the clock. The Bills can keep up, I think, for a little while, but I'm going to say it's going to be 42-31. Chiefs will score way too much. Defensively, the Bills on the back end, I think the reason they played a lot of coverage is because they felt threatened by all the depth at receiver and the speed down the field. And like you said, they don't have the matchups down the field, so you have to kind of play coverage and back off, and hopefully these guys will just kind of mess it up on their own. I don't see that happening. I think the Chiefs are going to roll, even with Pat Mahomes being a little bit limited in the mobility area. I think they can do whatever they want on offense. I just don't think that when I look at Josh Allen, as much as I love that guy, I think that he makes too many plays outside the X's and O's that you kind of question. It could be turnovers. Think about just that Colts game. Just the other day, he had a fumble, and if they pick that ball up, they're not even in this game. So, for me, he's got a little room to grow. He's got to build on this. They got a good young football team, but this is the Chiefs' game to win.
Yeah, guys, I'm sticking with the Chiefs as well, though. But I think it's going to be a much closer, more nail-biting game. I think 36-35 in KC's favor. Listen, the Bills are well aware that they need to go toe-to-toe offensively to keep up with the Chiefs in this game. And I think they are going to make it exciting. But this will come down to the wire. I just think the way the Chiefs are rolling, the champs, they get the dub for sure. All right, guys, thanks. And listen, Rocket Mortgage, I always struggle with that word, y'all. Their Super Bowl Squares is back with millions of dollars in prizes. It's the largest official game of Super Bowl Squares ever, and it's free to enter. So every time the score changes during Super Bowl 55, one lucky winner will receive $50,000. Plus, Rocket Mortgage is giving away 2 grand prizes of $500,000. You could use that for your dream home. You can see rules and enter for free at rocketmortgagesquares.com. Okay, quick public service announcement to the 28 teams who are not in the running to be Super Bowl champs this year. We haven't forgotten about you. After the break, an NFL Total Access little special gift for you. We're back on the clock with 11 through 20. Those are the picks for the 2021 draft. That's next. Reese's Senior Bowl player to watch is dual threat quarterback looking to make his mark in Mobile. Texas A&M's Kellen Mond holds school career records in passing yards and touchdowns. Plus, he's one of 4 SEC quarterbacks ever with 60 passes, passing, and 20 rushing touchdowns in a career. You can see Mond and other NFL draft eligible players at the 2021 Reese's Senior Bowl. That's Saturday, January 30th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, only on the NFL Network. 3 first-rounders in Daniel Jeremiah's brand new mock draft will be at the Senior Bowl as we take a look here at picks 11 through 20 on DJ's mock, including Florida wideout Kadarius Toney, who goes to Washington at number 19 here. Check out the full list of picks at NFL.com/DJ-mock. Let's get to some more headlines as we bring back Tom Pelissero. Tom, the Panthers introduced their new general manager today, and he had some interesting thoughts regarding the QB spot. What do we need to know?
Well, MJ, new Panthers GM Scott Fitterer declined to provide an assessment of Teddy Bridgewater or any other quarterback or player on the current Panthers roster. Not a surprise. He also declined to comment on a potential trade for Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. But Fitterer did add, "We will be in on every deal." That's not a surprise. Fitterer comes to Carolina from Seattle, where general manager John Schneider is known as one of the most aggressive GMs in the league. Fitterer said philosophically he believes in drafting or otherwise acquiring a quarterback every year. So certainly some interesting months ahead here for the Panthers. MJ?
All right, Tom, thank you. And one more note from front Ian Rappaport here. The Patriots are bringing back former defensive coordinator Matt Patricia for a role in the organization that is a combination of scouting and working with the coaching staff. Right, the sports world lost a legend today. Former MLB home run king Hank Aaron has passed away at the age of 86. Aaron overcame immense racial inequality and hatred to become a hero for many, both on and off the diamond. Aaron was one of the founding members of the Atlanta Falcons board of directors. Falcons owner Arthur Blank said the team was heartbroken by the loss. Among the other people remembering Hank Aaron here around the league today, Russell Wilson posted, "Hank, my dad and grandfather raved about you. Thanks for changing the game of baseball, but more importantly, thanks for bringing America together through love in a time of such..."
No big deal. I mean, it's no Laramie, Wyoming. No, not at all. You ever been up there? Oh, yeah. Let's go, man. That's just to get it started, baby.
Lamar Jackson back to throw. Pocket collapsing. He's going to be dropped. He is set. Right at midfield. He is dropped by Quentin Jefferson.
They're going to run a sprint option. Touchdown, Kansas City. Keep applying pressure. They got too much. Thank God, man. Thank God.
Yeah. Listen, I told you, get the camera on me, dog. That game ended when they needed me the most. That's what they paid me, bro.
Cynthia Freeland rejoins us now for Run or Pass. Looking for some predictions about the statistical leaders in the AFC title game. Cynthia, I'll throw out a number, and if you think the player will accomplish that stat, cool, we run with it. If not, then you pass. Let's start with Josh Allen. Run or pass, Josh Allen will have 3 passing touchdowns against the Chiefs.
Well, that's a trick here because that's 3 passing touchdowns, so I'm going to pass on that one because one of them is going to be a running touchdown, a rushing touchdown. Why? If you look at this red zone defense for the Chiefs, they rank last in the NFL. They don't bring a ton of pressure, which means Josh Allen's legs will account for 3 touchdowns, meaning 1 touchdown on the ground and 2 through the air. So pass on 3 through the air, but 3 total.
All right, so the play on words there. Run or pass, Patrick Mahomes will have 290 pass yards.
Okay, so I'm passing on this one as well because last time we saw Leslie Frazier, he didn't blitz Patrick Mahomes at all. Patrick Mahomes is awesome versus the blitz. He tempted them to run the ball. That's going to happen again. Still going to be a really good game for Patrick Mahomes, but that is too many passing yards, so I'm going to pass on it.
All right, we have another one folks have to pay attention on. Run or pass, Travis Kelce will have 70 receiving yards.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure and run on this one. This one's gonna be good. More than 70 receiving yards in this one. Why? Because you have to look at what goes on with the deep ball. Tre'Davious White has been susceptible. All that slot situation for both him and for Tyreek Hill. You're gonna want to go with more than 70 receiving yards for Travis Kelce.
All right, Cynthia, thank you. And of course, we will see you on NFL Game Debut. So for some more projections at the top of the hour. Thanks, Cyn. All right, let's bring back TD and David. We've talked all week about the teams in this final championship weekend and their strengths, but what about their biggest weaknesses? Everybody's got them. David, we'll start with you here. What's the biggest weakness for the Chiefs?
Well, I think it's going to be something that they're not going to exploit for as far as the Buffalo Bills goes. I think it's their run defense. I think teams that are going to have a chance against Kansas City don't play Kansas City's brand of football. You can't try to compete with Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. You got to line up like the Las Vegas Raiders did and just run straight ahead. You got to go at them. You got to take the fight to them and make this a ground and pound football game and keep Patrick on the sideline. They're used to scoring 40 points a game. They're used to being explosive. When that doesn't happen, they start to press. They start to figure out why. Well, and the only reason sometimes is they just haven't had the ball enough. So, but anytime you can put pressure on them, anytime you can make them press, you want to do that. Hopefully Buffalo can do that with Josh Allen's legs, like Cynthia pointed out, or in some, former fashion using the wide receivers with the run game. Just be creative with it. But hopefully they can keep him on the sideline a little bit. Otherwise it can get ugly.
All right, so that was the AFC. TD, what about the NFC? The Packers, what's their weakness?
Listen, it's hard to find a weakness on the Packers squad, and I'm going to say that it's similar to what David was talking about. It's the Packers' rush defense, and with the rush defense there, I lost my microphone there. But the rush defense is the one I think that the Packers are going to have to deal with this game here. And the reason I say that is because last week against the Rams, they gave up 5 yards per attempt to the Rams. And that won't get it done against the Bucs. This microphone is all over the place. Now I got it. So I think what the Packers have to do is defend that run. Can't give up 5 yards per attempt. Last week the Bucs ran the ball 35 times. I know a few were like Tom Brady kneeling down, and they only had 3.6 yards per average there. But I think that is going to be the key for the Bucs. You know that Bruce Arians is going to run the football, and Tom Brady is a running back's favorite quarterback because he's going to get the play to run it the way the defense gives it. And so I think the Bucs are going to try to push that offensive line, run it behind their center in Jensen, who has been just balling this last couple of games, and that to me is the weakness of the Green Bay Packers. I got my mic situated, by the way.
Listen, let this be a lesson to the teams this weekend. Don't let anything trip you up. Listen, TD, a total pro, always, every time.
You gotta put your arm down and keep. David, when you fall, man, keep.
That's the only fumble I can remember TD ever having. I can never remember you having a fumble.
Live television, live games. That's how you do it, guys, on and off the field. Thanks, guys. All right, it's been a week of debate and disagreement, bravado and bold predictions, all on behalf of what might happen on Sunday. But now it's time to put all of that aside and talk about what will happen on Sunday. They're called Locks of the Week. On his former team this weekend, he joined Brian Billick and Michael Robinson in the latest episode of Total Access, the Locker Room podcast, out today. McCoy enlightens the guys on some special privileges for veteran players.
This week on Total Access, the Locker Room.
Coach, you understand when you a vet, you get special privileges. Well, my special privileges in Tampa is I had 3 lockers. Oh. And I called it a 3-bedroom apartment. So I had my main locker, and then I had my cleats over here, and then I had this locker for whatever. So whenever a new guy would come in, they'd say, hey, Gerald, we probably need to use one of your bedrooms. I'm like, yeah, all right. How do I mess with this guy? They already have to take my locker. Okay, how can I give him a hard time? And
it was already on your mind.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm going to make him pay for this. And then I said, there it is. I'm going to tell him he has to pay me rent.
Oh, no. Scan the QR code on the screen right now for the latest episode of Total Access, The Locker Room. Like us and subscribe. New episodes every Wednesday and Friday on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
All right, time for Lock of the Week. And this is it, guys. Our final moments of the show here. We've covered every angle pretty much, but we got to get into what our locks of the week are. TD, what's your lock for Championship Sunday?
My lock is going to be Josh Allen will rush for over 100 yards in this game. He's going to need it to keep up with the Chiefs, so bank that, lock it, make that nice lock sound that Michael Irvin uses on the morning show. But that's going to happen but that's why I got the score where it is, because of Josh Allen and his feet going to rush for 100 yards in this game.
I like that. I think Aaron Rodgers needs to take a page out of Tom Brady's playbook from the last time these two teams played. Tom Brady threw for 166 yards, and they ran the football effectively. I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw for 250 yards. He's well under that. He might even be under 200 yards. But they find a way to win the game in Green Bay just because they're going to run it, they're going to utilize play action, they're going to control this football game from the line of scrimmage. That's what's going to happen.
All right, mine is pretty clear. These are locks, not hot takes. So it is Mahomes will throw for 4 touchdowns and lead the Chiefs to their second straight Super Bowl. All right, guys, I want to end the show with something really, really cool here. One more great story before we go. After months of intense chemotherapy, Bills fan Victor Nielsen got to ring the bell in celebration of reaching the end of his treatment. And, of course, he did it in true Bills Mafia style by jumping through that table. He had cancer written on it to show how he absolutely, yes, he crushed it. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I mean, what a moment for him, for all the hospital workers, and what a moment in his life to know that he conquered that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tremendous, guys.
That is, and that's Bills Mafia, man. They do that with the tables and break the chairs and tables, and for him to battle cancer and finally, defeat it. I'm proud of him and his family and people that support him. That's awesome to see. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful moment as they head into this championship weekend. I'm sure Victor, his entire family, ready to go to cheer on his team. All right, that does it for us here on this conference championship weekend. Guys, thank you for all your insight, rolling through it, and